and welcome to the CultCast, the best Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. I'm your host, Neada Caney, and joining me today we have D. Griffin Jones. Hey, welcome, Griffin.
Good evening. I like how I've been regularly promoted to the first to be introduced for the last few weeks now.
Well, you're the first one I see on my feed here, so that's why. It's not any kind of seniority, so don't get any high-minded ideas.
Okay.
And Lewis, my good friend Lewis Wallace. Hey, Lewis.
Hey, good morning, and it is morning.
It is morning.
Right
yep,
now.
For sure. It's a hot, muggy day here in San Francisco. We're all sweating.
It's only like 65, but it feels like you're in Florida or something.
Yeah, it's muggy. It's muggy. Well, today we're going to talk about all the new products. We've got a reviews. It's reviews. We're going to be talking about the iPhone 17 Pro, the iPhone Air, and the AirPods Pro 3, which is everyone's favorite new headphones. We're going to be talking about battery life. How is it to get the orange color? How bad does it scratch? How good is live translation? Everything you need to know about the new products. But before we do that, we got to say thanks to our sponsor this week, which is Squarespace. And Griffin, you're going to tell us all about Squarespace's new tools.
Yes, Squarespace is the best way to build a completely personalized website. And I know you're thinking, I don't know how to build a website, but you can. Using Squarespace's guided design system called Blueprint, you can choose from a professionally curated layout with styling options built in and build a completely unique online presence from the ground up, tailored to your brand and business and optimized for every device. It handles all of that hard work for you. I don't build my website with Squarespace, and it takes a lot of maintenance, and it isn't very well optimized, and it doesn't look very good or modern. So that's on me. That's the alternative path. It's not a path you want to go down if you just want a quick way to get your side project started. It has built-in optimized SEO tools integrated into it, so it's exactly what you need to be discovered, show up more often to more people, and grow organically. Flexible payments. You can make checkout seamless for your customers with simple and powerful payment tools. You can accept credit cards, Apple Pay, PayPal, and in eligible countries, the option to buy now and pay later with Afterpay and ClearPay. You can sell content on your site by adding a paywall to sell memberships and courses, sell files your customers can download. You can sell your time, let people book you for meetings and things like that, sell PDFs, music, ebooks. Just go to squarespace.com/cultcast for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain with code CULTCAST at checkout. That's squarespace.com/cultcast with code CULTCAST.
All right, very nice. Yep. We should get that for the Cult of Mac website.
Yeah.
Which also is in need of a desperate overhaul. So I think I might be going and making a purchase right after this. Before we do that, let's talk about the iPhone 17 Pro, which, is, my God, what a magnificent phone it is this year. It is the Pro-est of the Pro. We had a great review from our friend Ian Fuchs, who's a video professional, lives in Chicago. He'd been playing around with this, and I thought he did a nice job with the review, which is up on the website. But Lewis and I also have Pros, which we bought on day one.
Look how orange that is. Oh, wait, that's the case.
Color, yeah, right. What color is it? It's orange, isn't it?
It's orange, yeah, sure.
Of course it's orange, right. Yeah, there you go. I'm going to take mine out of the case so you can see it in its full glory.
Be careful.
I can't get it out now. Yeah, right, I know, good point. We're going to talk about that afterwards. Yeah, we're going to blow the lid off of Scratchgate, my God. Anyway, why don't you tell us about the Pro, Lewis?
Colors, okay, what do we got? We got cosmic orange. We got deep blue. And what's the other one?
Silver.
Silver, right? Which is kind of like white.
Well, I can't get the case off. I mean, Lewis, how do you feel about the orange? I mean, my God, we spent weeks and weeks debating it, and we were sure you were going to be disappointed. Are you?
I'm mixed on it. The thing that I like the most about it is that it is actually orange. It is orange. It is not bronze. If anything, I mean, I always like to take these phones out in the backyard and take pictures of them and really look at how I don't know. It's almost like staring into a lawn ball or something. Just stare and look at it, and the sort of orange aluminum frame of these things. It's it ranges from like orange to almost fiery red in certain certain angles of the sun catching it and stuff.
When you hold it at a sharp angle like that, it definitely gets darker and richer.
Yeah, it's interesting the way it morphs, and the thing I really don't like aesthetically about the iPhone 17 Pro design is the sort of two-tone effect you get, where the glass on the back is definitely a different shade from the metal surrounding it, and that also varies wildly depending on what angle you can look at it. You know, in some instances that, like I wrote about this cosmic orange thing because I've been waiting for an orange phone for so long. Yeah, in some instances that glass looks like a dreamsicle. It's just like the most kind of pale and, I don't know, timid yellow you can imagine. But in other instances, it kind of blends in. It's a peculiar color scheme.
Yeah, at the same angle where you hold it, where the orange kind of looks red on the aluminum, at the same angle, the glass plate on the back looks kind of yellowy.
Yeah, it's kind of a bizarre color. I like the way it looks. I'm not going to use it without a case because of all the scratching that I've seen happening.
Well, here's a silver one, and you talk about mismatched color. This one's white. It's got the white glass. But I actually think it's really nice. I like it. It's clean as heck. It's a beautiful, beautifully made. The unibody construction, how they've carved it out of one piece of aluminum, makes it just for a really pleasing piece of tech.
I had some hands-on experience in the store as well. When I was picking up my iPhone Air, I took a look at all of the phones. Maybe I'll cut in video of that while we're having this if you're watching on YouTube, because I looked at the blue, and in Apple's pictures, I think the blue out of all of the colors looks like it just blends together like backplate and aluminum perfectly, but even that has a little bit of contrast to it too. And I kind of like that the backplate doesn't perfectly match, because I think then you don't notice as much that the Apple logo is off center, because then it makes it obvious the Apple logo is perfectly centered within the glass plate in the bottom part of the phone. I kind of like it. It makes the back look more interesting, in my opinion.
I thought the blue model looked really good. I mean, in the store, it looks very kind of handsome. I mean, yeah, it's normal, safe color, but it looks all right.
I mean, previously Apple differentiated the top and bottom of the phone by having the plateau be a different texture to the back. Like the plateau would be shiny and the rest of it would be matte. And now that the plateau takes up the whole top of the screen, and now that it's also made out of metal, I think they needed like a different way to differentiate the two parts of the back to make it look good.
So you think the two-tone looks good?
I do, yeah. But then again, I haven't lived with it for a week. I only saw it briefly in a store, but...
Yeah, well, I think probably most people aren't going to see it much either once they put a case on, because it's just like, But let's see. The design of the thing, I mean, to me, I guess it's slightly heavier. It doesn't feel any heavier, not noticeable. Screen looks great. Performance has been fantastic. I haven't noticed it getting hot, which is, I did notice with the 16 Pro. Everything seems to work beautifully. Liquid glass is smooth and fantastic.
I actually just want to interject for a moment. You said you haven't felt it get any heavier. It is worth noting these phones actually are quite a bit heavier. So between like the iPhone 13 and 14, the phone started getting gradually heavier. Then there was like the big reduction in weight with the iPhone 15 Pro. And the 16 Pro got a little heavier than that, but still not as heavy as the iPhone 14 was. The iPhone 17, I think, is almost as heavy as the iPhone 14 Pro was before they had to reduce the weight of it. So these phones are creeping back up in weight.
That had a stainless steel frame, right? So
yeah.
I mean, I honestly, I don't notice it being any heavier. Do you, Leander?
No, and I did a test with the 16 Pro and the hand scales of justice, and I couldn't tell any difference. And it, it doesn't feel heavy by any means at all, does it? It feels solid.
I mean, not until you pick up an iPhone Air.
No, true enough. Right, exactly. Yeah, it doesn't feel any extra weight at all.
I mean, it's still a solid thing in your hand. I mean, or your pocket. I mean, you can feel it. It's there. But I'm just saying, I don't find it to be like onerously more heavy than the previous phone. Ian talked a lot about all the really like pro camera and especially video features of it. And as always, the video stuff, like, I mean, I shoot a video here and there. I never spend any time editing a video, producing a video. I never, I'm the least pro user when it comes to video. I don't know that I've actually even taken many photos with it. I've mostly been taking pictures of the phone with my old phone.
I took a few pictures. The new sensors are fantastic, and the zoom is amazing. The way you can zoom in now with the 8x zoom, it's crazy. It's so detailed. There's no loss of detail. And if you do it side by side with the old 16 Pro, there's a huge difference. It goes from like a horrible, fuzzy, pixelated mess to a very, very usable, very, very detailed picture when you're zoomed in. It's pretty remarkable. It makes it really useful for the first time. Like I didn't used to use the zoom on my old, at least the full zoom, the 5x zoom, because it just wouldn't take a good picture. They were awful.
Yeah, the telephoto sensor of the 5x telephoto lens on the iPhone 16 Pro, Apple had actually been using the same exact camera sensor for that telephoto lens since I think the iPhone 13. Oh. So it's not actually just like a 1 year change. It's effectively like a 4 year change there,
okay.
4 or 5 year.
Yeah. It makes a big
I'm
big
very
difference.
jealous of that new sensor. I'm not upgrading from the 16 Pro to the 17 Pro personally, but that's maybe what I'm most jealous of, the much improved telephoto sensor.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get out of my office and actually see that. See that in use. Not much use in my tiny little office. Ian was also talking about the sort of computational processing of the photos. Says that the ones that he's taken with the 17 Pro versus the 16 Pro look much more natural and just better all around. So I'm pretty psyched to check it out. I do love to take pictures. A lot of time at the computer this week.
Yeah, right.
I actually noticed that myself. The Apple didn't make many hardware changes to the 1X sensor, but they did improve the image pipeline in like the computational photography part of it, how it sharpens up images after you've taken them. And I took a picture of, my dog, Indy, sitting on the floor, like side by side, iPhone 16 Pro in this hand, iPhone Air in the other hand. And you can definitely tell the iPhone Air is better at sharpening up like dog hair. And they know that that's exactly how people are going to test these things, taking pictures of their pets. And that seems to be what it's really good at doing. I didn't do any other like direct side-by-side comparisons, but I can tell that the 1X sensor is better at like the machine learning sort of cleaning up of photos after you've taken them to make them look sharper than they really are. Google is going way overboard with that. Like if you take like the new Google Pixel phone and zoom into its, top like 50x zoom or whatever it is, like somebody took a picture of a stop sign from really far away, and Google is going so all in on the AI upscaling of it that it makes it round instead of octagonal. It's like completely making up letters for signs and street signs and things like that. I'm very glad Apple is showing more restraint than Google in that regard, because you can't even say that's a picture at that point. It's an AI recreation of a vision
like that moon scandal, when he took a picture of the moon. Remember that one from a couple of years ago? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's craziness. I've got some pictures, actually, some sample pictures. I'll give them to you afterwards. Maybe I'll show the zoom. I took some pictures of the Golden Gate Bridge. You can put them in here. Do we want to talk about any other features? I mean, the process is crazy. I mean, the whole performance of the thing is great, isn't it? It's snappy. It does everything super quick. No lag. The screen looks wonderful. The 120 hertz ProMotion screen.
Mm-hmm. What's the battery life been like for you?
Fantastic. Lasts all day, all night and all day. And I only charge it to 80%, so...
it does seem better.
Yeah, I've had no problem with it at all. I saw some people complaining about it, like they lose it in the, late afternoon, early evening. But I've been on the thing all day, all day, and no problem at all. No problem at all.
If I can ask you to follow along here, go really quick. If you go to the Settings app, you go to Settings. In the top section, you tap Battery, and then you wait for the thing to load for a second, and then you tap View All Battery Usage. So I'll read this out for comparison on my iPhone Air. If I tap on Friday, I can see I had the screen active for 8 hours and 16 minutes, and it drained 84%. So I'm curious what those two numbers are for you for one of the bigger days that you used your phone.
Well, on Saturday, I've got screen active was only 2 hours, 1 hour, 50 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And the battery drain was, where do I see that? 67%, I think. So
Okay.
that's not very much because not much usage. The next day, I used it for 5 hours, 4 hours and 50 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And battery drain was 53%.
Okay. That's actually surprisingly kind of in line because like the ratio that I'm looking at on my iPhone Air seems to be like for every hour the screen is active, it's gone down roughly 10% or a little bit less than that. Like, Sunday I used the phone for a bit under 5 hours and it drained 40%. So, 10% down battery drain for every hour that I was using the phone seems to be the rule of thumb that I'm seeing around here.
5 hours, 29 minutes, 82%. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Battery
That is a
usage
lot.
by app. Slack, 12%.
Okay.
Google, 9%. Podcast, 8%. I mean, that's probably, the podcast running in the
interesting, 'cause-
background, the
Yeah.
screen isn't on, but it's running. So
It's interesting that ratio is actually showing up as being worse for the iPhone 17 Pro compared to the iPhone Air.
Yeah.
I wonder if the iPhone Air is maybe like underclocking the processor to reduce the battery drain compared to the Pro.
Who knows?
Who knows? The design of the plateau, how do you feel about it?
Oh, the
Yeah, I
plateau.
mean, you've been putting your phone in a case for a lot, but
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I mean, I find the whole design kind of, I don't know, Star Wars-y or something. I mean, to me, it has like a retro feel. It doesn't seem as polished and nice as the iPhone 16 Pro. It seems, and especially once it starts getting scratched up and beaten up, then it's really Star Wars. I gotta say, I kind of liked the glass plateau on the previous one better. Like it had a nice kind of shiny look to it. This is kind of a dull matte, at least in this color, dull matte orange. And at least in this light. And you go outside, it looks bright and shiny. I don't know. I have if they would have gone with the glass plateau back there, I mean, they could have made it super shiny. I guess I am like a crow or a fish or something. I love the shiny stuff. I don't know if you noticed this, but you guys haven't none of you have the orange one. If you take the orange phone out in the pictures I took of it, it almost does look like it has like a little bit of a glittery finish to it in the sunlight, which is what I was really hoping for, like extreme metal flake glitter. But you know what? It's a step in the right direction.
you're hoping for like the color that like a boomer would paint his like Chevy Bel Air. That's like his 1950 when he takes it to a car show.
Exactly. That's exactly what I want. 5 coats of clear coat and hand buffed, everything beautiful, shiny as can be. That's what I would like, more than anything. But yeah, I'm happy enough with it the way it is. I can't say I'm 100% crazy about the look of the forged plateau, which is really the only thing you see of the phone. Once you put it in the case, you have to put it in because otherwise it's going to get beat up. The orange silicone case. I love I love Apple silicone cases. I love the way they feel. I love how grippy they are. I love how all the buttons work perfectly. They're just really nice cases. And I had one. I used one. I don't know, half a year. Finally got a nick out of it. Like from a key, toss it in my pocket with some keys or something. They're pretty durable.
Yeah, mine too. My old one lasted a long time. Well, this year I picked up the Tech Woven out of curiosity, and of course, this is the replacement to the fine woven case, which wasn't very durable, and this thing hasn't got a mark on it. I mean, I've been using it for about a week. I can't say I haven't actually dropped the phone yet, which is kind of unusual. Usually, I drop it the minute I get it in my hands.
Take a key to the back of it and see what happens.
Okay, I don't know if I want to do that live right now.
I think it'll be fine.
Just try and scratch it with your finger.
Those things, they're so different from the way fine woven was. I mean, fine woven felt like they were trying to make something that felt like suede or something like that. And
Right.
and that thing, I mean, I don't know, Tech Woven. I went up and was scratching my fingernail on it in the store. It felt like heavy duty plastic. It seemed very I can't imagine you can scratch that thing.
It's got a cloth feel.
Really? I thought it felt like plastic.
It feels to me. Well, the edges are plastic. The edges are
No,
plastic.
I mean the.
Well, it is plastic, isn't it? But yeah, I guess you're right. It does have a sort of. I think it has a plastic cloth feel, like plastic cloth.
Well, that's literally what it is, plastic cloth. But I don't know. My point is, it feels very. Very sturdy, very durable. I don't think it's going to get abraded easily. It just seems solid as opposed to fine woven, which immediately felt just horrible.
Well, let's try it right now. Here, look. I chewed my nails, so they're not very. They're not very.
Ooh, good ASMR right there. Pull that close to the mic.
Oh God!
I'm feeling very relaxed. Yeah, there's not a mark on it.
Oh, well, there you go. Tell us how that holds up, a month from now.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the question to ask. And of course, this thing is snug as a bug in a rug, and as you can see, like Apple's attention to detail, it's as nice inside as it is on the outside. Mm-hmm. Steve Jobs would be proud. Yeah, it's a very nice case. I mean, it's $70, so
$70.
60,
wow.
69, I think, or 65. The buttons are really nicely done. Yeah, it's a nice case. It's a super nice case, for sure.
Well, one benefit of the Plateau taking up the whole width of the phone is that now when you put it in a case and you sit it down on a table, it doesn't rock when you're like typing on it.
I think that's a definite improvement. I mean, I guess we should talk a little bit about, for people who don't know, what that does. I mean, Apple, with their design, they basically put almost all of the guts and like processing and camera and everything in that Plateau up there, so that the rest of the phone is battery. That's where you get better battery life. Mm-hmm. And it seems like a really smart decision. I mean, even if I don't find it as aesthetically pleasing, it seems like a great move.
For sure. Definitely. They did that. Yeah, there was Phil Schiller did that, didn't he? When they first showed off one of the old, I can't remember which one it was, but one of the old MacBooks, when he said, look, here is the processor now, and it was like this little tiny
MacBook Air, I think. Was the
and
one.
he said, what do we do with the rest of the space? We fill it with batteries, and there it was. It was like, I think it was like 4 separate batteries, wasn't it, that were inside the thing. So it's just battery, and people can't complain. I mean, that was the biggest complaint for years, wasn't it? That the battery life on the phones wasn't long enough. And make it basically one big giant battery. Great idea. Great idea.
It also helps with the heat dissipation, having that aluminum unibody. I don't think we discussed that.
Right, that was a good point. That was the whole point of Ian's review. He was saying that it was for the first time this year. It was function over form. They've gone. A big part of the aluminum unibody design is for better heat dissipation, along with the vapor chamber. And when this thing is cranking out, what was it, ProRes RAW, 18 gigabytes a second to capture this stuff, it's insane. And this, the aluminum makes it cool, doesn't it? It gives it much better heat dissipation. So they've gone for they've made this design choice to increase the functionality of the phone. I actually like it. I like the utilitarian look of it. It's like a tool. And I think even we're going to talk about Scratchgate in a second, but like Johnny Ive, I got that Johnny Ive design book that he put out a few years ago, and one of the images in there was the original was one of his designer's original iPhones, and the thing's all beaten up and scratched up, and he talks about how much he loves that, like the patina, like from a well-loved tool. And there's definitely, I've got a few. I had a little pocket knife. I don't have it around. I used to have it around here somewhere, but that is like that. It's like it looks better when it's scratched up. I don't know if I'm going to be saying that about my phone. Maybe we'll see, but. For some things like that, I think it does look better than when it's new.
Yeah, I agree as well.
Well, let's talk about Scratchgate, because this thing kind of blew up at the weekend. And I went down to the local Apple store here in San Francisco at Stonestown Mall to pick up my phone. And as I was checking out all the phone, they've got maybe, I don't know, dozens, a couple of dozen at least, of the new phones on display there in the store. And of course, like the first day when I went down to pick it up on the Friday, the place is a zoo. It's just packed. There's lines, 2 lines on either side of the store for people trying to get in, and inside it's like heaving like a nightclub. And most of the phones were scratched on the back. I was actually kind of a little shocked because this is day one, and on the back they're all scratched up, and some had some pretty deep scratches too. And it was really apparent what was causing it. They're all sitting on MagSafe chargers, and the chargers are made out of plastic with an aluminum ring around it, and the aluminum ring was all chipped up, creating a sharp edge that was scratching up the back of the phones. And of course, these are phones that are getting handled by a mob. So they're not being babied. I mean, people are not treating them very well, and they're getting handled by hundreds of people. So on the one hand, there's that, this isn't typical usage. On the other hand, I was kind of shocked at how easily they scratched up, and it was like the orange one was scratched up, the deep blue one was scratched up. The only one that I didn't see scratches on was the silver one, I beg your pardon, on the regular iPhone 17s. So the silver one was scratched up. Just the regular iPhone 17s, which have a different design. They have a glass back, right? A ceramic shield, not ceramic shield 2, but ceramic shield back. And so then the next day I saw some tweets saying, "Oh no, this isn't real scratches. This is just some kind of staining from the chargers or from being handled.
A residue."
Yeah, some kind of residue. And so I didn't actually. So I went back to the store. I went back with a microfiber cloth, and then don't tell me about this.
With a cold cloth?
It wasn't actually a cold cloth. It should have been a cold cloth. But I went back and I cleaned a couple of the back of the phones, and yeah, it took off some of that. There was some grime and some residue, but it didn't remove the scratches. These are definitely scratches. They were. I clean, and I've got a GIF on the website when I did a report about this, so you can see me cleaning the thing. They're scratches. There's no doubt about it. Apple responded to this and saying that it was the MagSafe chargers that was causing it. But they also said that they also denied it, didn't they? They said that the MagSafe chargers were leaving a residue. So.
Or that, yeah, it said that it could be like rubbed out or something. It's like, really,
yeah.
All this is like, I mean, it's completely obvious when you look at the pictures and you look at the ones in the stores. I mean, yeah, that aluminum can be abraded, and that for some reason that glass back can be scratched. I mean, it's really weird. Like, what is different about this glass? I mean, I've never seen that on the glass back of an iPhone ever.
I mean, some of the pictures do kind of look like it's leaving residue because people rub their keys on it, and you can clearly see brass colored streaks that don't match the color of the aluminum phone. Clearly, yeah, there's probably a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. We're some residue is being left on these things. It's not like when you scratch an orange iPhone 17, it's going to be brass key color underneath it. That is residue that's being left on it. But then, rub that away and there probably is also a scratch on it too.
I think the most amazing thing about that is who was in charge of those MagSafe chargers? I mean, how did they all get so beat up? And I mean, when you look at your pictures, Leander, you took a picture of one of those chargers. It looked like something from a Star Wars movie. It had been just damaged by,
Yeah, it looked like someone took a chainsaw to the edges of it. I mean, I think it's
just terrible.
It's really sharp. I mean, you can actually sort of cut if you run your finger over it, you will cut your finger. It's a sharp edge. I know it is a bit surprising. Yeah, a bit they didn't put nice plastic ones out instead of metal ones.
Yeah, it's everything else about the Apple Store is so perfect and just.
Right.
Just excellently maintained and beautiful, and and then you look at that thing, and it looks like it's I don't know, at a Walmart or something.
Yeah, right.
It's probably one of the parts of the store that they
Walmart.
just replaced the least, because those things are expensive. The tables are enormously expensive. The big, heavy, solid wood tables that they have it on. They replace the phones all the time, but how often do you think they replace those chargers? Probably not very often. They're probably years old, so they've got
Well, they had a broken one at Stonestown, and it was the MagSafe, the puck itself was broken, so it didn't have a phone on it. And of course, it sticks out like a sore thumb because it's line of phones, and then there's one with an empty space, and it has a little security thing, the little security tab that is on a retractable wire, so it's sitting there. And then when I was in the store, I kept on hearing the alarms going off, beep 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 beep, and then someone would run over, and then when I was investigating it, when I was at that particular table, I pulled that wire myself and set off the alarms off, and I could see why I was doing it. And then I asked the guy, one of the Apple staffers, I said, "What's going on here? Did someone steal because it was supposed to be for the iPhone Air, did someone steal an Air already?" And he said, "Oh no, that's when he explained to me that the thing was broken, and that's why they didn't have a phone on that particular stand for display." But that must have been driving them crazy too, because like almost everybody was doing what I did, which is like pulling on yanking on that wire and setting the alarms off. But iFixit actually did that when they did their teardown of the iPhone 17 Pro. They got a material specialist, a guy called David Niebuhr, and he explained to them why the anodizing process makes the iPhone 17 Pro susceptible to scratching, and it's to do with the sharp edges. The anodization layer doesn't adhere to a sharp edge as well as it does to a flat surface. And that he suggested that Apple could have avoided this by making the sharp edge of the plateau, which now you can't see it because I got it on my case, but the sharp edge of the plateau chamfered or rounded, so that it eliminated any sharp corners, and it would have had less scratching. So we'll see if Apple changes that design next year.
I was kind of hoping that the shape of the plateau, like the shape of the edge of the plateau would change. Like some of the leaked pictures that we saw from like Sonny Dixon and Majin Buu before the official event kind of looked like they had made changes to it just because they were low quality, slightly blurry images, even of like the leaked models. But I was kind of hoping that it wouldn't have that shape where it just like curves up from the back and then comes to a corner like that, because I'm not really much of a fan of that design, but
yeah, which is exactly what it does. But
yeah,
it's funny because it's the only sharp edge on the whole phone. I mean, all the other edges are rounded, like around the screen, they're rounded. Yeah, and it's got sharp edges around the lenses too. So I wonder whether they'll probably get all scratched up as well.
I haven't seen any pictures of those getting scratched up though. It's mostly the glass and the edges around that forged plateau.
I also don't think like that sharp corner just feels very good in the hand. Like, yeah, that's probably why it gets scratched up, because it's a very obvious corner that you can feel obviously when you rub your finger over it.
It really is kind of shockingly not sharp, but not smooth, not curved. Wow, yeah. I didn't even ever notice that.
And it is funny because everything else is curved. That's the only edge that is sharp around the lenses too.
Yeah.
But one of the things that people are complaining about, I don't know if it's worth mentioning this, is the millimeter wave, the 5G antenna cutout. I saw some people lose their minds over this. Like, oh my God, this just, like the whole thing has been ruined.
How often do you look at the top of your phone?
I was going to say, I just noticed it there for the first time ever. Of course, it's less pronounced on the silver one. I guess it isn't, is it? You can see it quite clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for people who aren't watching it, it's like it goes like at least half the width of the top of the phone. Just like an oval, kind of pill-shaped, once again, two-tone look. It doesn't match perfectly with the metal. That's one other thing that I forgot to mention that Ian was talking about. He was saying he thinks that the cellular connectivity is better with this model than the last model. I haven't really been out of the house that much.
Well, the millimeter wave connectivity should be a little better. I think the reason Apple moved it more prominently on the top is because they tried to hide it on the iPhone 16 Pro, and it supposedly ruined some of the performance of the millimeter wave antenna. I've still, since 2020, never been within range of a 5G millimeter wave cellular tower at all. So I can't speak to that, but I think on the 16 Pro they actually built the millimeter wave antenna into the camera control, if that's right. But and they found that that's why the performance wasn't as good with that particular phone.
The camera control button on this one is very nice. It's a nice button, and I've actually learned how to use it finally.
Only a year.
So I've been using it a lot more. And actually, if you turn off that, it's turned off by default now, isn't it? When you set up your phone, it asks you if you want to turn on the controls, the extra controls for the camera control button, which of course is the most confusing thing about it, because if you accidentally get into you can actually dive down into all the settings instead of just taking a shot. So it's off by default, and I think that is a good move. I didn't really ever use it anyway, and I just want to have a button that works as a button, which it now does reliably. And it's a great way to take a picture. Like once you train yourself to use it, you can be up taking a picture like very, very quickly. So it's a good way to capture something that you need to if you want to take a quick snap. It's a great way to do that. Definitely worth training yourself to use.
Now I only ever really open the camera using the camera control button. I reassigned my action button to do something else, which I've talked about previously. But then the other piece of it was the camera icon on the lock screen. And I wasn't sure what to replace that with until I had the idea to replace it with an Apple TV remote button. So now I have instant access to my Apple TV remote in the spot where the camera used to be. And I recommend that as well.
That's a good idea. Yeah, great idea. What other things can you put there?
You can put a lot of things there. I think or at least most of the buttons that you can put in Control Center can also be lock screen buttons down there. So if there's a toggle that you often reach for, then you can assign it to your lock screen as well.
I'm kind of tempted to put a Shazam button there.
Yeah, that'd be pretty handy.
Not that
I mean, you
use
have a
Shazam
different
lot.
way of opening the camera now, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, let's talk about the iPhone Air, because that, of course, is the biggest design change Apple's made to the iPhone lineup for quite a while. And we have one on hand. Griffin's been testing it out. Let's have a look.
I've been living and breathing with it for like the last week now. And I will just say, holding it in the store is one thing. That will make you lust for this phone. But when you actually live with it for a week, going back to an iPhone 16 Pro, just holding it in my hand, this is the first time in a long time where just year over year, a new phone comes out that makes the old one feel old instantly. My iPhone 16 Pro doesn't just feel old, it feels like this thing is 4 years old. This is just so thin and cool and awesome in the hand that it literally makes every other phone feel ancient. This is the way that phones should be. And I know that right now, the iPhone Air is kind of in this weird middle spot. You have the regular iPhone 17 for only $800. It's an excellent value. You have the iPhone 17 Pro, which adds all of these extra awesome features. The iPhone Air is kind of like this weird middle child right now. I actually wouldn't be surprised if we're in an iPhone 10 type situation where another year or two from now, the entry-level iPhone 18 or the entry-level iPhone 19 will have a design inspired by the iPhone Air. Like this design style will become their new standard consumer-level iPhone design. Because my God, this thing just feels incredible. Absolutely incredible. It technically has the same design that the iPhone has had since, the iPhone 15, where it has the flat sides that are a little rounded, but it's so thin that the only flat part of it is like the middle half, because it is just that thin. Like if you have an iPhone 16 Pro, or an iPhone 17 Pro, look at the side of your phone and look how curved it is on the edge. Imagine that the flat part of it is like half as thick, and that's how thin the iPhone 17 Air is. It's truly crazy.
Yeah.
In terms of weight, I was astonished to see that it's only 17% lighter than my iPhone 16 Pro, because if I didn't know that, I probably would have guessed 40%. It feels so much lighter. And, the lighter it is, that means that, the longer you can hold it without feeling tired, the less it'll hurt when you drop it on your face.
I was going to say, you were reading it in bed, right? And it dropped on your face.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, that didn't hurt as much as I expected.
Come away with a black eye.
Yeah.
It's actually quite a big phone. I mean, for a light phone, it's actually quite big, isn't it?
Yeah. I think part of the reason why it feels so much lighter is because it's bigger. It's a physics thing where the weight that it has is spread across over a bigger area, and it actually is literally lighter. But that combined with the fact that, so little of it touches your hand, when you hold it in your hand. It literally feels like you're holding a credit card, like maybe like a slightly thick one of those fancy credit cards, but like it feels like holding a credit card, and it makes holding my iPhone 16 Pro feel like I'm holding my whole wallet. Like that's the metaphor I've been using. It's just like this light little metal thing that you're just like barely touching with the palm of your hand.
What about the plateau? Is that good on your nerves?
Well, the nice thing is that because it isn't tall, it's only, one little camera lens up in the corner, I can rub my finger across the whole back of the phone and not ever touch it. I picked up my iPhone 16 Pro back in my hand after a while, and immediately, like because I hold my phone in my left hand, my pointer finger is like sitting right on the LiDAR sensor. I can feel the camera lenses. I don't get that with the iPhone Air. Mm-hmm. I can do a whole windshield wiper swipe across the back of it with my pointer finger and like barely touch anything.
Wow.
I don't have to adjust my grip or anything like that. When I hold it horizontal, it kind of feels like the plateau feels like a little camera grip. In terms of the colors, I pulled this out of the box. I ordered the gold one. I literally thought Apple had made a mistake. It is so not gold whatsoever. I don't know if the YouTube viewers watching have even noticed that this is supposed to be the gold one. I guess it does kind of help.
Gold at all.
Yeah.
I mean, the edges look gold.
It does kind of help that I have like very yellow lights in my office and my walls are yellow. Take it to my living room, it doesn't look remotely gold.
Even the edges?
Yeah. There are very few conditions where it actually does look gold. I double checked the box. It said I had the gold one. I double checked the phone to make sure that the phone knew that it was gold because my eyes just did not register this as yellow whatsoever. It just looks white. If I were buying this for myself, I would probably just get the silver one because, there's no point in having it be like 1% yellow. So it is even less gold than it is a titanium.
Trump's not going to like it.
No,
not
he'll
gold
be very
enough.
disappointed
Not gold at
with that.
all. Doesn't match his toilet.
Mm-hmm. We already spoke about battery life. Like, surprisingly, very similar battery life to my iPhone 16 Pro. I don't think anybody would really be disappointed with the battery life of this phone. Apple's optimizations with the adaptive battery mode are like very good.
You're getting all day battery with it?
Oh yeah, easily. Like, again, looking at the stats, it seems like I average, 10% battery going down for every hour that I'm using the phone, which is pretty standard for phones as far as I can remember, at least. Like, it's not unusually bad. And, screen idle time, again, Apple's like efficiency cores and their processors are getting better every year. The adaptive power mode like reduces the amount that it drains in the background. Like, very good. If the iPhone 16 Pro is enough battery for you, this is also going to be enough for you. Mm-hmm. And, most people are upgrading from a 13 Pro or even older or 14 Pro, and they're going to get better battery life.
Yeah. Well, it's there seems to be a lot of skepticism. We've run a few polls in the newsletter about the Air, and a lot of readers say that they're not interested. And then they've had all these news stories come out saying that the Pro this year is obviously the device that people are picking up, and that the Air hasn't really taken off. And I think there's a lot of skepticism about it. Obviously.
How much they're selling out depends on how much inventory Apple stocked up in advance. Mm-hmm. Like, I think I heard a report that Apple ordered 3 times as much inventory for the iPhone Air than they did for last year's iPhone 16 Plus. So they expect they just have more stock than they typically do.
But then again, you see, like, if people, anyone who's touched it and used it, they're like, oh my God, this is they're the same reaction as you. It's like, they fall in love with it.
This is the way.
Honestly, it's even better than holding it in the store, because in the store they have like that metal security wire that tries to pull it back out of your hands. Mm-hmm. Like, it is even better than touching it in the store.
Yeah.
Having a friend who owns one and touching theirs will give you a better feel for it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
And actually using one for more than a few days is what really makes every other phone in the world seem ancient.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. I think it's going to be a slow burn sleeper hit eventually.
Mm-hmm. Like that's what they say the problem was with the iPhone mini. It was introduced during COVID when people weren't going into Apple stores. They weren't touching and holding the phones. So people didn't get to experience, oh, this is a phone that fits in my hand. The display size is bigger, and I was really concerned. The iPhone 16 Pro is already only barely small enough to fit in my hands, and I thought, oh, the iPhone Air is going to be even bigger. I'm going to be miserable, and I'm not going to like it at all. But again, because it's so much thinner, my hands wrap around, even better around this phone than my iPhone 16 Pro. Like,
yeah, right.
My thumb still can only like barely reach the opposite corner, but because it's so much thinner, I can still hold it just as easily. And it seems to be a good, Goldilocks size, mid size between the other two sizes. But then in other situations, it's kind of like an illusion, and it breaks, and I have to two-hand it more often than I'd like. But
yeah, I wonder why they didn't go for a small screen size. Then the 6.3 is kind of, well, it's in the middle, isn't it? Halfway between the
6.5 is halfway between 6.3 and 6.9. Apple considers it to be a big screen size. Like when you turn your phone horizontally, you get that special 2-column layout that they only give the big phones, and that's what you get on the iPhone Air. The selfie camera features, I think this is going to be a huge hit. Maybe the biggest feature of these new phones, and it's really awesome that it's across all three of the phones. Like you can buy the regular iPhone 17 and still get the improved selfie camera. I tried them out. Excellent features. You can take horizontal landscape selfies by holding the phone in a more comfortable vertical position. Truly excellent. The whole center stage thing, I think, is a little gimmicky, honestly, where it'll automatically zoom out because it's like a special mode that you have to turn on. And if you make any manual adjustments to the selfie camera zoom, then it turns it off entirely. And it makes for a good demo because, in the Apple keynote, you see, more people enter the camera frame one by one and it keeps zooming out. But honestly, when I'm taking a selfie, I'm zooming out to the maximum extent every time because I want to capture more of the background too. And and you get more resolution when you take the full size picture.
And so as soon as you touch it to zoom out, it breaks the center stage.
Yeah, and then you have to turn it on by going back into a menu at the top of the screen and tapping on. It's kind of fiddly to turn on, and it's not actually very helpful. I can easily tap the button to either zoom out or zoom in myself, and so I'll just do that really. But the whole horizontal square selfie sensor is excellent. I already spoke about the AI upscaling on the rear camera. That's pretty good. The other contentious thing is the single speaker.
Right. So people are losing their minds about this too.
Yeah. This is not the legacy that the iPhone 7 would ultimately have in this area, but the iPhone 7 was the first phone to have to use both the ear speaker and a speaker at the bottom of the screen for playing media. So, you got two full volume speakers. The iPhone Air only has the top speaker, which is actually technically the worst position because the bottom speaker had bigger sound because it had more volume to work with. The iPhone Air has gone all in on the top speaker, which is a pretty crowded area of the phone.
How does it in everyday use?
So I did a side-by-side comparison. I was playing music, like Lady Gaga, very bass-heavy music, on both phones. I had them started at the same time, and I was just volume max on one, zero volume on the other, and directly comparing them, turning it up and down. And you can definitely tell that the iPhone Air has a tinnier sound to it. The iPhone 16 Pro has much more bass. The iPhone Air is much tinnier. Even on vocals, it sounds like it's coming from a phone more than it's coming from a speaker. But the overall volume output isn't really any worse. My use case here is that when I'm taking a bath every morning and shaving, I like to have a podcast playing on my phone, and I just play it out of my phone speaker. And the iPhone Air, I think, has virtually the same total volume output as previous iPhones. It's only the richness of the sound that suffers. So
right, so you can hear it okay.
Yeah. It's not really that much of a problem. The thing is, if you're watching a YouTube video and you hold your phone in landscape, you can hear it's only coming out of one side, and that's kind of obvious. But still, the overall volume output isn't that much worse.
Yeah,
I don't think you have to consider that a deal breaker. And lastly, in terms of accessories, I was very excited about the bumper case because I've always wanted an iPhone 4 bumper, and I took this opportunity to buy an iPhone 4 bumper, which I've installed. Very nice buttons. Also a good classic iPhone case.
Look at how chunky that thing is.
Going back to my iPhone 16 Pro, feels like I'm holding a phone this chunky.
Right, that is a chunky boy.
Anyways, I got the bumper case, and I was very disappointed for two reasons. I knew I would be disappointed for one reason, that being that when you have your iPhone Air in the bumper, it protects the front screen, and it protects the bottom two corners of the back, but the plateau and the camera lens still stick out very noticeably from the bumper. So you have your phone in a case, and it still rocks when you set it on a table. If you drop it, it's still likely to shatter your one and only camera.
Have you chucked it across the room yet?
I'll do that right now because I have a very thickly carpeted office, but yeah, like you set it on a table, you can still rattle it. It doesn't offer enough protection for the people who want a case to protect their phone, but it's also really thick. It makes your phone feel way too thick for the people who like going caseless. So it's kind of worse at everything.
Oh dear. How much does that cost?
Oh, I don't remember. I think it's like $50, but it also feels kind of cheap. It feels like kind of cheap plastic, if I'm going to be honest. The buttons aren't very nice. I mean, they're clicky, but they're not like the metal buttons that you get on the fine woven case.
Right.
It's kind of pointless. I don't know why anybody would buy this, because if you like to go caseless, you're just going to go caseless, and this makes the phone feel thick. Like, look how thick the edges are on that. Just looks like a regular iPhone.
Yeah.
It ruins the whole thin feel in your hand. And it also doesn't protect the phone. So what's the point?
What about the? Did you check it? Did you get the other case that they have? The very thin case.
I did. I got the clear case. I'll try and. The other thing I don't like about the bumper is it's very hard to get on and off.
Wow, surprising.
I got the clear case, and I got the special crossbody strap. I really like the clear case. Honestly, it feels lighter and thinner than the bumper case, which is surprising because it does also protect the full phone. You get like full camera plateau protection.
Right. How much does it stick up over that? Is it like a couple of millimeters higher?
Yeah, it completely protects the camera plateau.
Right.
It sits flat when you sit it on a table. It feels pretty nice, and barely adds any extra thickness to it on the back. So this is all around what you should absolutely be buying if you have an iPhone Air. Buy the clear case. It's great.
And the body strap?
The crossbody strap, it's very fiddly to put on and off.
Put on and off the case, not your
Yeah.
body.
You have to, first of all, you have to take the case off of the phone to put it on and off. Then you have these tiny little metal loops that you have to attach. And the holes are, of course, very tiny, and the strings are very delicate. So, it feels like you're doing heart surgery trying to put this thing on. And then you have the strap. And I guess you could sort of unclip the strap from these little legs that stick out of the bottom of your case and use that. But it's handy to have your phone just like hanging from around your neck, because then it reduces the friction of even taking it out of your pocket. Like, you can literally just like reach up, snap a picture, and then let go of your phone and let it fall against you, and it'll just like permanently stay attached. I can see the strap being honestly very handy, like during day trips or vacations or walking across a street or, going through an amusement park, like very handy for that. But it's kind of annoying the rest of the time to just have like a strap attached to your phone.
Especially because you can't easily get it on and off, right?
That's
gotta be...
Well, what you can do is you can unclip the strap from the little loops, but then it just looks like your phone has like tiny little legs dangling from it.
Oh my God.
But the strap itself is very nice. It has like the magnets that run through it, so that it's always like pretty tidy. The fabric itself feels excellent, and it is handy to have when you're using it, but it's just kind of annoying the rest of the time. Mm-hmm. So honestly, my advice is get the strap, get a case, but have like a second case that you can swap your phone into, because that's honestly the better way than to attach it.
Yeah, so it should be permanently attached to a case.
Yeah, you should permanently have like a second case that you use to strap it into. And that's very handy. But I can absolutely see the utility of this. I was kind of skeptical of it at first, because you can imagine the use case being, I'm a woman, I don't have pockets, and I also don't want my phone to be stowed away inside a zipped up bag, because then I miss all my notifications or what have you, or it's very hard to get out because I have to unzip my bag to get it out. But honestly, yeah, like if you just like to take a lot of pictures and you want instant access to your camera, or, you know, you're navigating around a city.
When I used to carry a camera around, I always bought a strap for it, like one of those kind of crossbody straps. Instead of so you could hold it, you know, you could strap it and actually sort of hold it at your back. And it's a great way to, you know, your camera quickly ready. Like you said, when you're on holiday or going on a trip somewhere, something on an outing.
And then when you're done with your phone, you don't have to like put it back in your pocket. You can just let go and it's not going to clatter onto the floor.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Hanging around your neck. I see a lot. I've seen more and more people use them. I can't say they're popular, but I've seen them more out in the wild than you used to. These kind of crossbody straps.
Yeah, and you don't have to buy, like, all of Apple's cases, or at least most of Apple's cases, have the little loops built into them. But I imagine third-party cases will have, like, you know, lanyard attachments as well. They'll follow in Apple's footsteps there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And
definitely. Even though Apple's strap is very nice, you also don't have to buy Apple's strap. You could use an Apple case and then get a third-party strap. But I'm really impressed by the quality of the strap. Like, the fabric just feels really nice on it. Even the little metal snaps have, like, you know, diamond, like, chamfered edges on them. They feel really nice. They make a really nice solid snap. The little loops that the strap goes through to resize it, like, the holes in the loops are just, like, perfectly sized for the fabric. Like, build quality is insane.
Top notch, yeah. Yeah, nice stuff. How much do those cost?
$100.
Whoa.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
How did I overlook that? Wow, $100.
Crikey. I wonder if they're going to sell a lot of them. We'll see. That's pretty steep. Pretty steep. Let's move on to the question from the reader this week, which comes from an anonymous, and they sent it by text. And the anonymous says, so I just watched Austin Mann's video review of the iPhone 17 Pro Max that he shot in Italy, and I was intrigued by the recommendation he made regarding the use of the Halide app on the iPhone Air. Has anyone attempted this, and if so, does it truly solve the widely believed shortcomings of the iPhone Air's camera with close proximity pictures as well as telephoto ones? And for anyone that doesn't know, Austin Mann is a professional photographer, and Apple has been giving him ahead of time an iPhone Pro to test out, you know, from a photographer's perspective, and he usually publishes his review pretty early on, and they're always beautiful, aren't they? This year he went to the mountains in Italy, and amazing shots. But anyway, so Griffin, you know, what's the answer to that? Does Halide overcome the shortcomings?
So I guess to explain what the shortcomings are to listeners of this podcast, there's always a statistic that's relevant to cameras that Apple doesn't really talk about, called the minimum focus distance. And what that is basically how close you can get to a thing before, like, the maximum close distance you can get to a thing. So on an old iPhone, like an iPhone 10, I've got a little, you know, on iPhone 10, I've got a little Macintosh coaster here. I can get up to, you know, really just a few inches away and still take a perfectly clear picture of it. Like 3 or 4 inches is the minimum focus distance. On newer iPhones, Apple has been steadily increasing the minimum focus distance on the 1X lens. And they make up for that on the iPhone 16 and, you know, 14, 15, 16 line by switching to the ultra wide lens when you get too close. So I'm holding the same coaster up on an iPhone 16 Pro, and I can get, you know, only about 8 inches away from it before it switches over to the ultra wide lens. And it switches the ultra wide lens and crops in, so it still feels like you're taking a 1X photo, but it's kind of faking it. And that's what happens when the little flower icon appears in, like, the bottom left of the camera. That's what that's doing. It's saying you're getting too close. I'm going to switch to the ultra wide lens because the ultra wide lens has much, much smaller minimum focus distance. The problem with the iPhone Air is that the iPhone Air doesn't have an ultra wide lens to switch to make up the difference. So if you have an iPhone Air, you can't take really close pictures to things, you know, as close as the iPhone 16 Pro. You also can't get as close as previous iPhones because the minimum focus distance on the 1X lens is still like 8 inches away. So if you try taking a picture really close, it's going to come out blurry. You know,
so it's about 8 inches.
Yeah, something around there. And the Halide app does have its own sort of macro mode that you can switch to, but ultimately the Halide app can't overcome the physical limitations of the camera. So when you switch to the Halide app's macro mode, it's also kind of faking it by just zooming in 2x, which is a solution you can do. You can just, zoom in 2x to take a close picture of something, or at least a picture that's tightly cropped. But you can also do that in the regular camera app as well. So that's not really anything like unique to the Halide app. The Halide app can't overcome the limitations of the camera, and it has its own sort of like fake macro mode. But yeah, that is a problem if you have an iPhone Air. You can't get pictures that are super close. Mm-hmm. You also can't get pictures that are super far because it doesn't have a telephoto zoom. But
right.
The
macro photos,
is perfectly
macro
fine.
photos on the Pro look amazing, don't they? I saw some this morning. People taking these creepy pictures of insects, and my God, it's like way too close. I couldn't believe the quality of the things. Mm-hmm. I've always wanted I used to buy those moment lenses or external lenses and to be able to get like macro shots. But the ones out of the Pro now are amazing. You can get really, really close. Too close, creepy close.
Mm-hmm. I took really close, creepy photos of my AirPods for my AirPods review.
Right, yeah. Well, let's move on quickly to that because we're running out of time. The AirPods Pro 3. Now, this I think is the one no-brainer product that Apple put out this year that everybody should buy. The AirPods Pro 3. I think this is the one time where the incremental upgrades add up to great upgrades. Mm-hmm. And Griffin, you did it again, like a really great review for us. I thought really did a nice job with testing out all the different features. What's your favorite feature, do you think, of the new AirPods Pro 3?
I mean, favorite feature has got to be the improved noise cancellation.
Yeah, right, me too. It's like a bubble of silence, isn't it?
Yeah. All of the noisiest things that I do, like mowing my lawn, blow drying my hair. These are all things where I have to either crank up the noise. I should clarify. I never owned AirPods Pro 2. Before I bought the AirPods Pro 3, I was just using generic noise canceling earbuds from a company called SoundPeats. I had like the SoundPeats Air 4 Pro or whatever, which basically offered noise canceling, and that was their only special feature. And other than that, they're pretty generic, like AirPods type clones. And yeah, for doing any of those tasks, I have to turn on noise canceling and still turn up the regular volume to like, near deafening levels to overcome the noise of because gas lawnmowers are very loud and electric lawnmowers are too expensive for me to buy. So I just put up with like the hearing damage to be entertained while I'm cutting the grass.
My experience is that I've been able to turn down the volume, which is amazing. Once you got the ANC on, then you can get it down to like. And I check. I'm trying to protect my hearing, so I always check the decibel levels in the control center, and I can turn it down to quite low levels, much lower than I used to be able to do with the old AirPods Pro 2. And I did on the AirPods Pro 2, and I used to wear them all the time when I walked to work, and I'm walking down Mission Street. That's a noisy street, big buses, trucks, lots of traffic. Couldn't really hear anything sometimes when using the old AirPods Pro 2. AirPods Pro 3, bubble of silence, can hear everything, turn the volume down, fantastic, it's amazing. It's a huge upgrade. And a part of that has to do with the ear tips, doesn't it, which they've been redesigned.
A lot of that comes with the ear tips. So the thing is that the ear tips have, now foam infused. And the thing is that because that's like a passive method of noise cancellation, that means that because, the new ear tips are on there all the time, even when you don't have ANC turned on, there's still a degree of noise cancellation happening just because they're creating a better seal against the outside world. There have been times where, when I'm not doing a noisy activity, I'm otherwise just like in my kitchen, I'm like, do I have ANC on? I actually can't tell.
Right, can't tell because they're plugged up your ears, yeah.
Yeah, it covers up the ambient sounds of like the AC or the fridge or the freezer, the sort of ambient sounds of the environment. But then you turn ANC on and it's like you just hit the mute button on the rest of the world. Right. And it's just a cone of silence. It's incredible.
Yeah.
That does come at a comfort cost, though. And I've seen a number of people who have AirPods Pro 2 switch to the Pro 3 and say, ooh, these are much less comfortable. I think because the new ear tips have foam in them, they're much more firm than before. My other point of comparison, my generic noise-canceling earbuds that also had like the tips were just all rubber tips. And I had to have a quite large size in order to fit in my ears. I stuck with like the medium one in my left ear and the large one in my right ear. So with the AirPods Pro 3, even though it's a completely different brand, I also stuck with the same thing, medium tip in my left one, large tip in my right one. And it was pretty uncomfortable, even though it felt like it made a really good seal. And so I started playing around with the sizes. I switched them around. I went down to the, small and the medium. And then I eventually settled on just having small ear tips in both of them. And they still kind of fit pretty well in my ears. I don't feel like they're going to fall out, but my ears also hurt a lot less. I still get a little bit of ear pain if I wear them for extended periods of time. So
I don't have that experience at all. Like I've been wearing them all day, every day, because I've been testing them out as hearing aids, and so I've been wearing them full time, and I've been wearing them for like every day now for how long is it, since the weekend. So I have had absolutely no issue with comfort. Sometimes they itch, like every now and again, especially when it's kind of hot here. Like they got a bit itchy a couple of times, and I had to get my finger in there to that's what it out. But apart from that, it's I've had no comfort issues at all. Yeah, I've had like everyone's mileage seems to vary, and definitely not pain. Definitely not pain or discomfort.
I always thought I had like large ears because I whenever I used in-ear earphones, I always went for the large tips, and that's all that could fit in my ears, but like without them falling out. But maybe I don't, and maybe it's just because they're so much firmer.
Did you do the AirFit tip test? The AirTip fit test?
I did, and I think it must be like a bug with the new phone or the new operating system or something, but it didn't seem to like tell me anything really. I don't know. It didn't give me any conclusive results.
Because I did the same, like I thought I was a large or extra large, and I tried those, and I can't remember now what the sequence was, but anyway, I ended up going through all of them and then going back to the original ones, and then finding out that actually you do actually kind of have to jam it in a bit more than you do the old ones.
Yeah.
So wiggling them and jam them in your ears, you get a much better.
You also have to make sure you get them in at the right angle, because like sometimes I can rotate it. I'm like, ooh, no, that's wrong. I got to point it back down again.
Yeah.
Like my natural inclination is to, ergonomically when I'm holding it in my hand and I put it up, they end up sticking far forwards much more than they should, and I have to like try and remember to like twist my hand a little bit and put them in so that they're pointing down more. I don't know, it's very complicated. But I also switched to the extra small ear tips, and I was like, oh no, these are definitely way too small. Like the small is where I should be. But I think if there is a controversial change in these, that would be it. Even if you have a previous version of AirPods Pro, still try around different ear tips to see if, maybe your size has changed, because they are much more firm.
There's actually not that much foam, is there? It's actually just a kind of a little thin inside layer at the tip of the foam, so they do feel very silicone-y, and they still have that flex, that silicone flex, except at the tip where at the very end of it, where there's actually a sort of very thin layer of foam. Because I know that people used to there was a lot of people when they upgraded their old AirPods Pro, they would buy those sort of memory foam tips, the kind of ones that you have to twiddle between your fingers to compress them, and then you quickly jam them in your ear, and then they expand to fill the hole. And that was a popular upgrade. Like a lot of people said that they got a much better sound and much better ANC when they switched to those ones. So these ones you don't have to actually fiddle with. You don't compress them to put them in your ear. But I thought they're still pretty flexible. They don't make that big a difference. I didn't think they didn't feel that different from the AirPods Pro 2s.
I mean, everybody's different, so
yeah,
maybe I'll have a different experience. Other new features, the live translation. I tested this. First of all, I reached out to a nearby university, to their language department, and asked several people, "Hey, would you be willing to test this feature with me?" And I never received any answers.
I'm surprised.
I don't know if they just misunderstood what I was asking or didn't want to do anything to do with me. But then I reached out to a friend across the internet, Neilian, who is a contributor at Mac Stories and is on the Comfort Zone podcast, speaks fluent French. They live in France. So we did a little FaceTime call. And what we did was I had her audio just playing over out of the speaker of my computer, so that, kind of simulated we were like face-to-face having a conversation. We entirely she exclusively spoke to me in French, and she actually muted the English words that I was saying in response to simulate being, a non-English speaker, so that she was also dependent on the translations that the iPhone was spitting out. So I made a separate video of this. I might play a clip here for you in a moment, but we tried having a little English-French conversation. Good evening. I'm D. Griffin Jones with Cult of Mac, and I am joined today by Neilion of Mac Stories. And today we are going to be testing the automatic AirPods language translation feature. I know absolutely nothing about the French language other than when you're reading it, the rule of thumb is to just ignore half of the letters and just go really fast. That's all I know about French. So how much of that word salad is going to show up properly translated? I don't know. Welcome.
Oui, merci. Il y a des traductions très aléatoires dans ce que tu viens de dire, mais je crois que j'ai globalement compris. Il parle,
I have
la
very
traduction
random
parle
translations in what you
notamment
just told
de
yourself,
salade,
but I think I
ce qui n'a
understood
aucun
overall.
sens. J'imagine que tu ne parlais pas de salade.
He speaks the translation speaks in particular of salad, which makes no sense. I imagine you were not talking about salad.
I was not, in fact, but what is your favorite type of salad while we're at it?
Quoi?
What?
Je ne crois pas être un lapin et je ne suis pas vraiment fan de salade de lapin. Ça
I
n'a
don't
aucun
think I'm a
sens,
rabbit,
ce que je
and
viens de lire,
I'm not really a fan of
mais
rabbit
c'est très
salad.
drôle.
What I just read makes no sense, but it's very funny.
You said on your podcast that you were disappointed in the iPhone 17 Pro Orange, and I think that was maybe your initial reaction after watching the event. Has your opinion changed anymore in the week and a half since?
C'est une excellente question, et mon opinion n'a pas changé. Le orange qu'a
That's a
choisi
great
Apple pour
question,
l'iPhone
and my
17
opinion
Pro est, à
hasn't
mon avis,
changed.
le mauvais orange.
The orange
Ils ont
Apple
choisi
chose
un
for the
orange qui est
iPhone
trop
17
sombre,
Pro is, in my
pas
opinion,
assez
the wrong
saturé,
orange.
et qui ne tend pas assez vers le jaune. Il y a trop
They
de
chose an
marron
orange that is
également
too
dans
dark,
cette-
quite
dans ce ton
saturated,
de
and does
orange.
not tend enough towards
Moi,
yellow.
j'en suis pas fan.
There are too
Mais-
many
et je le
chestnuts
dis en
also
tant
in
que
this shade of orange.
défenseur de la
I'm
couleur
not a fan of
orange,
it,
donc ça veut dire que ma
but I
parole
say it as a
a pris une
defender of the
souffle.
orange color. So it means that my word takes precedence over all the others.
Disons qu'Apple et la science des couleurs, c'est
Let's say
compliqué.
that Apple and color science is complicated.
6 colors. They had it right in 1977.
Oui,
Yes,
c'est vrai.
it's true.
I think ultimately, I was very surprised. The translations were not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. It didn't feel like I was speaking to another fluent English speaker. You know, in the way that you can kind of tell, like, when a Russian person has learned English as the second language, so there are just like a few grammatical mistakes that they make, but you can still understand what they're trying to say. That's kind of how this felt. Like, a few of the translations sounded a little robotic in their phrasing or a little unnatural. Like, no human is actually going to talk like that. But I can still understand, like, the meaning of her words, what she was trying to say to me. I feel like we had a pretty fluent conversation. The few mistakes that it made, I think, were actually mostly transcription errors. It's very easy to forget because it feels like, I'm just talking to another person. You forget I'm talking to a computer that's translating what I'm saying to another person. And the first step of that is getting a transcription of what you say. And if you've ever used iOS dictation, you know that iOS dictation is not perfect. So there was one point where I said, because this had come up somehow in the conversation, we were talking about salad. And I said, well, what is your favorite type of salad while we're at it? And I think it mistranscribed that as, what is your favorite type of salad while you're a rabbit? So then we started, Senchi thought I was asking about rabbit salad. And I was like, no, but that's the kind of mistake that's like very obviously wrong. You can ask for clarification if you're having like a real conversation with a person. And I was also kind of intentionally trying to stretch the edges of it, trying to break the system because, that's my job. I'm supposed to test this thing. If I were actually in France, like speaking to a merchant trying to buy shoes or whatever, I would be aware of that, and I would intentionally try and say, like, speak in very simple sentences, the kinds of things that would be easy to translate. I wouldn't use a lot of metaphors that are lost in translation, stuff like that. So I do think it's good enough to be useful, especially if you're in a country like, Vietnam or India, where there are just like no words in common between the two languages at all. But, those languages aren't supported yet.
Right.
But,
It actually only supports a fairly limited range, doesn't it? Well, how many languages? 9 or something?
Yeah. Well, it only supports like 4 or 5 out of the gate, and there are more in iOS 26.1, but still not, not that many ultimately. But I was very impressed with it all, in the end.
It's a really it'll be amazing to test it out when we go abroad. I tried to test it out with a movie last night, but I couldn't get it to work, so I've still yet to test it. My daughter speaks fluent Spanish, so I'll test it with her the next time I see her. The other thing is heart rate monitoring, isn't it? That actually had a lot more success.
I had low expectations with this because we tried the Power Beats Pro 2 came out earlier this year, also have heart rate monitoring, and everybody who's tried it has said, yeah, this kind of sucks. But I went on a little stroll the other day. I had the AirPods paired with my iPhone 16 Pro, and I directly compared it to my Apple Watch paired with my iPhone Air. And the Apple Watch pretty much it practically has like a hospital grade heart rate sensor on it. It's very accurate. It's the gold standard. I figured that would be a good measuring stick. And I was absolutely amazed how similar the numbers were. I don't know why the AirPods Pro 3 are so much better than the Power Beats Pro 2, but the numbers that it got virtually identical to the numbers it got from my Apple Watch. The heart rate graphs that it shows you at the end, virtually identical. The estimated calories burned, which isn't always a strictly accurate measurement. Those numbers were within 7% of each other. All of the statistics for the workout basically showed the same as each other. So I think if you're the sort of person who doesn't like wearing an Apple Watch, you actually would get quite a lot of utility out of this heart rate sensor if you want it to monitor your exercises.
Yeah. My theory is that they're different than the ear tips between the Power Beats Pro 2, because the Power Beats Pro 2 have the old silicone, the wobbly silicone, rubbery silicone tips, and even though they are designed to sit firmly in your ears, I'm guessing that they move around a little bit more inside your ear than the AirPods Pro 2, thanks to the new foam tips. The foam tips keep them more securely in place, and therefore you're getting a more accurate reading. But that's just my theory.
The sound quality is absolutely excellent. I haven't had AirPods since the original AirPods from 2016, and the original AirPods, they sounded a little better than the EarPods that replaced them, but not that much better. They were still you buy them because they're wireless, not because they sound good. They still sound like, crummy little iPod earbuds. The AirPods Pro 3 are honestly better than most of the headphones I have. I was very impressed. It's astonishing how much bass comes out of them.
Bassier, good punchy sound.
The sound stage, which is, how big the stereo sound sounds to you. Very impressive. These are my first headphones with spatial audio, and I don't know, I couldn't really tell the difference between spatial audio and regular stereo sound yet, but maybe I just need to listen to it more. But overall, very impressed by the sound quality of them. Pumping Lady Gaga, you still get all that bass in there. Lizzo, all the most bass heavy pop music that I have in my rotation. Excellent sound. I'm no audiophile, but I was impressed. I guess the one other potentially contentious change is the battery life. They increased the battery life in the buds themselves. I don't know exactly how, but now they claim 8 hours of battery life instead of 6. But the battery life of the charging case is worse. It used to go, the AirPods Pro 2 said 30 hours of battery life, and now the AirPods Pro 3 say 24 hours of battery life.
That is bizarre. I can't for the life of me understand it, because the case is even actually slightly bigger, right?
The case is slightly bigger.
Is, yeah.
They say that it weighs less, which says to me they took out one of the battery cells, intentionally gave it a smaller battery, and I don't know why. I reached out to Apple for comment, and they didn't respond, of course.
I mean, who really cares, to be honest, about the battery life of the case? Because it's still you're getting 4 or 5 supplemental charges to your AirPods out of the case.
And charging the case isn't that hard. when I'm at my desk, I'm within arm's reach of a charging case where I can just like sit the charging case on top of it and then it's charged.
Right.
And the other point I made was like, if I had to make a trade-off, increase the battery life of the buds, but decrease the battery life of the case, that is the trade-off I would choose to make.
Oh, absolutely.
But
Yeah.
I don't know why they did, but why did they have to do that? I don't know. It's not like the earbuds got bigger and that took away volume from the case because the earbuds are basically the same size. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mystery. But the battery life too. I was wearing them all day yesterday, and I got like a good solid 8 hours out of it. And if you use it, and this is use them as hearing aids all day, so they're on transparency mode, and listening to music, making phone calls, all the kind of normal stuff, and I got a good full solid 8 hours out of it, which I think is amazing. Out of these little, because of the battery and the stalks, it's kind of astonishing that they last that long. But if you're going to be using them as hearing aids, I mean, you do want that you need that long battery life. I mean, it's going to be no good if it runs out. So of course you're not getting the full 16 hours that you're awake, but they charge really fast and they top up super quick in the case. So you can pop them in. I should have timed it. I can't remember. I put them in there for about 10-20 minutes and they were back up to about 80%, which I was really impressed by. I couldn't believe how quickly they charged back up again. So yeah, the battery life is great. They definitely made the right call there to increase the battery life of the stalks. And who cares about the case?
Yeah, but it's like, well, if you're going to put less battery in the case, why can't you make it smaller? I was thinking, well, maybe they reduce the number of batteries in there to make them cheaper and maintain the same price because maybe it got more expensive for them to manufacture, but they didn't.
Well, that's a slightly different shape now. Maybe that has something to do with it. Although maybe. I don't know, probably not. Mm-hmm. The case is still kind of scratchy. I scratched mine up the first day. Yeah. Just like my iPhone Pro. But then I don't really care because I was a bit. It's like it's like when you get a non-stick pan, right? And you first scratch it. The first scratch is always the hardest, and it was like, oh no, they're ruined. But then I look back and I've got several old pairs of AirPods, and I can't say I've ever once worried about the scratched up case on my AirPods. One of them looks so beat up that it looked like it went through a grinder, but. And it still works fine. I don't care about it. Well, the AirPods themselves too, and my old AirPods Pro too. They look like a Greek vase because when I'm riding my bike, they keep dropping out on the road and they're all so cracked up. Still work fine.
Surprisingly, one of the worst things you can do to your battery life on your AirPods is drop them. The more that you drop them, that can actually damage the batteries inside, and that can reduce the battery life overall.
Well, no wonder I'm getting like about 3 hours out of them now.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, I think ultimately they're very good headphones. If you don't own AirPods or you only have like the entry level AirPods, try out the AirPods Pro 3. I'd say if you already own AirPods Pro 2, you can probably wait for those to die. I wouldn't say that this is a must-have upgrade from the Pro 2, but
even if you have the AirPods Pro 2, you're going to be super happy with the new AirPods Pro 3. I mean, because that's always the argument every year. Okay, it's an incremental upgrade, should upgrade. If you've already got the recent ones, no, don't bother, skip it. Very, very true. They are the AirPods Pro 2 still are excellent ones, but these are even better. And like for the noise cancellation and for the sound quality, I think... if you've got AirPods Pro, upgrade to the AirPods Pro 3. You're still going to be super delighted. You're going to be right. These are a no-brainer. And like you said, they're great earphones, headphones. Period. These are the ones that I've got like a weird headphone obsession, even though I'm deaf. Like I've got a collection of.
That's how you got deaf.
These are super high-end ones. These here, huh?
That's how you got deaf.
Yeah, right. No, exactly. These are what made me deaf. I know, but I think they're great. They're now my new favorite, like you, Griffin. New favorite headphones. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but what are you going to do with your old AirPods?
Good question. Maybe I should trade them in with a CultCast buyback program. Yeah, we buy them. If you've got some old AirPods, trade them in with us. Go to the CultCast homepage and scroll down to the bottom. Or use the menu at the top of the page and hit the buyback button and we'll buy your old AirPods. Where Apple doesn't take them for trade-in. So if you've got an old pair lying around and you don't want them anymore, it's get a good bit of cash for your upgrade.
I was really surprised that Apple doesn't take them. They take everything else. It's weird.
Yeah, it is surprising. I don't know why they don't take them.
Well, I mean, I think usually when Apple takes in products to upcycle and resell them as refurbished, they they basically take apart the phone and give it an all new case. Like when you get a refurbished iPhone, they've replaced the battery, they've replaced the screen, they've replaced everything on the outside that the user touches. But they can't really do that with AirPods because they're basically hermetically sealed, impossible to repair.
Yeah.
That's my theory anyway.
Maybe people don't like putting other people's AirPods in their ears.
Yeah.
Might have something to do with it.
Don't like to think about it anyway.
Yeah, you can try an AirPods in an Apple store, but you probably don't want to. I mean, honestly, like since I got the AirPods Pro 3 and I'm, wearing in-ear earbuds much more often than regular, my ears are probably incredibly clean because every time I take them out of my ears, I'm like, oh, it's pulled a lot of ear gunk out. Let me flick that off.
Jeez.
Yeah, I know. So I know there's a bit more gunk on mine than normal too. But let's not get into that. All right, well, let's wrap it up there because I think we've run out of time. That's all the CultCast we have for you this week. If you want more, check out Lewis on Twitter at Lewis Wallace. Griffin's on Mastodon and Blue Sky at D Griffin Jones, and I write every day the Cult of Mac Today newsletter, which is the best newsletter you're ever going to read. That's at newsletters.cultofmac.com. So if you want to send us a text link, use the link at the top of the show notes, or use the YouTube comments to ask a question for the show. That's been the CultCast, the best hour-long Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. I want to thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Goodbye.
Woohoo!
All right. I gotta admit, I was running out of steam there at the end. Oh my.
That was a long one.
Huh?
That was a long one. Back to an hour next week, hopefully.
Okay.
How long was it?
Hour and a half. I've got.
Yeah, it's an hour and a half.
Look at it. It's 11:30. Oh God.
I know. I was worried about I'm worried about getting the newsletter cranked out. All right, let's.
I mean, hey,
stop.
we've got plenty of content. That's the best part about this time of the year.
That's right.
Oh, what are we going to do in the newsletter? I don't know. How about the 57 new Apple products that came out still?
What show number are we at?
718.
Definitely need a cup of coffee now.